Greetings. Tony Mobley here. And tonight is a special night. It's going to be a short night, though. I promise you that. This is Conversation with Tony Mobley. Tonight, we're having a conversation about why Conversation with Tony Mobley exists. So I want to thank you all for being here with me today. This is episode 55 of Conversation with Tony Mobley. I want to thank everyone for being a part of the journey. Why are we here? We're here because life has provided me the opportunity to have real conversations with real people. First, I want to thank my guest from last week, Miss Erin Super Educator Graham. This was episode 54, and I want to thank the team behind Conversations with Tony Mobley. So we are here to have real conversations with real people. And we hope to help others with these conversations. But I need your help. Yep, I'm going to say it tonight too. Even though we're only going to be on for 30 minutes, I'm going to say it again tonight. Register at conversationswithtonymobley.com for the Mukana chat. With the Mukana chat, you have the opportunity to ask questions, and those questions can be voted up and down. Ask your questions in Conversations with Tony Mobley Mukana chat. But now we have the quick question form on the website. That's right. If you go to Conversation with Tony Mobley, you can do the quick question form. And with that, you can just put in your name and ask your question. The only thing is we can't guarantee that your question will be answered in the quick question form. Tongue twister. And if you like this and past conversations, we ask that you like and subscribe. Set that bell to all notifications to be reminded of upcoming conversations. And so now, why are we here? We are here because I am a cancer survivor who started treatment at the beginning of the pandemic. And I just want to tell you a little bit about that journey. I was having to go and get treatment every day. And at that time, there was actually a shortage of masks. And so I had to go to a hospital every day with wondering whether or not I was going to have a mask supplied by the hospital. It was scary and trying, and people who had COVID were going to the hospital as well, same hospital. So it was an interesting time in my life. And I had the opportunity to find office hours at the same time. And I had the opportunity to work with a small congregation in Macon, Georgia, who were trying to figure out how they could worship during the pandemic when they could not meet in person. And so office hours gave me the opportunity to help that church be able to worship through Zoom. And all of the tools that I received from office hours were used to make that possible. And that community is still streaming their worship services, and they are thriving. So one of the things that I wanted to make clear tonight is that Conversations with Tony Mobley is not a show. I know that a lot of times we talk of it being a show in the context of the way in which things are done, or in terms of the language that is used to talk about video production. But it is not a show. It is a conversation with interesting people. And guess what? Everybody is interesting if you take the time to listen. So I'm going to start here. So many moving parts, so many issues going on in the world. And I am a person of faith. And I also believe that something can happen that can make things better for people. And that's having a conversation, a genuine conversation with each other. That is what I believe. I don't think it matters if you have a different religion than mine. I don't think it matters if you have a different race than mine. I don't think it matters if you have a different experience than mine. What I believe is that we as human beings have more things in common than we don't. And I think sometimes we forget that. So I talk a lot about office hours. And part of the reason why I talk a lot about office hours is because it was kind of a roadmap for having conversations with Tony Mobley. And I'll tell you why. There were people from all over the world, all different kinds of politics, all different kinds of religion, all different kinds of races, who were able to come together and work together during the pandemic. And for over 800 plus days, they've continued to interact with one another. And I thought it was important that the spirit of what was happening in office hours be shared with the larger community. And some of you may say that I'm naive, foolish, maybe even stupid to try to do something where people are able to talk to one another in this day and age. Certainly, the things that are going on in the world right now give us reason to cringe. And it also provides a setting for us to turn inward. I would encourage you to think about turning outward, reaching out to your fellow man, and let's try to get through this time together by talking to each other, not at each other, but to each other. And genuine listen to what we have to say to one another. It's not that we are going to always agree, but it's important that we hear what each of us has to say. Now, I'm going to stop now. And if there are some questions, we have some questions. Okay, so we'll go to the questions. So what is the most cherished? This is from Tlaloc Lopez Waterman, Astoria, New York. What is your most cherished conversation with Tony Mobley moment. There have been so many moments. I'm really not sure. I think the one that stands out the most right now at this point in time is the 50th episode where I had a chance to um, have on with me um, close friends of conversation with Tony Mobley. We had a genuine good time. It was a nice conversation, but there have been so many. I was having a conversation earlier today with someone, and they were asking me about my favorite conversation with Tony Mobley episodes that I should get them to look at that would help them prepare for when they are coming on conversation with Tony Mobley in the very near future. And what I said to them was that I kind of feel like a parent who has children, multiple children, and they all are special. They all need love, and they all have great particular gifts. And because of those great particular gifts, because of the what I have gleaned from each and every conversation, it's really hard. Um, there have been quite a few episodes that have turned me into a crybaby. So I could think about the birthday conversation was really a powerful conversation. Um, the initial conversation that I had with Andy Carluccio, the conversation that I had with you, Clara, was a great conversation. The very first conversation that I had with Dr. Hazmat Gajar from Cape Town, South Africa, coming in at 2 a.m. his time, and for the first at least 6 episodes of conversation with Tony Mobley, he continued to tune in. So that was kind of powerful, because initially he told me he wished me the best, and then he decided that he wanted to be my very first guest, and so that was a great experience. So I'm going to stop there and go to the next question, and Clark is back with another question, and the question is, have you gotten response from anyone unexpected? Have I gotten any response from anyone unexpected? I have gotten some responses from I've gotten responses from people that yes, but I can't speak to it yet because they have not confirmed that they're going to be on, but they have shared with me that they are interested in what I'm doing and think that Conversations is a good place to have a conversation. So I'm going to leave that one there. Is there a next question? Okay. What might I do to change things going forward? Well, one of the things that's going to happen going forward is that after next week's guests, going forward, Conversations with Tony Mobley will be 1 hour. So you heard it here first. We're moving from 90 minutes to 60 minutes. And that means that there are going to be some changes. There's going to be some changes to the way that I introduce the show, and there are going to be some changes to I said show, didn't I? There are going to be changes to the way the conversation is introduced, and there are going to be changes to the way the conversation ends. And stay tuned. Next question. Come on, guys. We got about 15 minutes. Okay. So just in case there aren't any more questions, I'm going to sort of give you my final thoughts. So what I wanted to leave you guys with today is first, I want to say thank you to the office hours community and to all of the hardworking team members who have gone beyond the call of duty, from the Conversation with Tony Mobley website to all of the different iterations of software and hardware that we have used. We've been through at least 3 or 4 different iterations of how the conversation would be shown, and different tools from VDO Ninja, vMix Call. We are currently using Zoom Rooms and AWS and vMix. And so there have been a lot of different things that we've tried. And it has been a great learning process. And I think that I wouldn't change anything in terms of how we were able to navigate some of the different software packages. So we have a question from Junior Grant. How do you handle your low times? What picks you up? I have a lot of low times. Cancer makes you think about low times. But let me tell you the good thing about having had cancer. Cancer makes you understand that your time is finite, and it helps you focus to get to the things that are important. And that's one of the things that and it's probably going to sound strange, that I'm thankful for as far as cancer is concerned. I really don't have any fear. And I would have to say that there was a time when I was, I think, overly concerned with what people thought, and I don't dwell on that. I'm sort of single-minded in that I really believe that this experience is a gift, and that I am on the other side of cancer so that this gift can be shared and that it can help other people. The other thing that I would say about low times, is I think that I had this opportunity and this experience to get cancer first because now my wife is dealing with it. and it's a different kind of cancer, but uh, some of the same kind of stressors and um, concerns, and the impact how cancer not only affects the person who has the cancer, but their loved ones. Um, but the fact of the matter is, without getting into preaching a sermon, Junior, I would have to say that uh, my faith and the love and support of church and family and friends gets me through those times. But it's part of life. Um, how we deal with our low moments is is important. I hope that answered your question, Junior. Thank you for that great question. And Dr. Clark is in. He says, conversation with Tony Mobley began as a small scale copy of OH with a panel and hopes that many questions from viewers would be drive dialogue through the Mukana platform. Today, it is more of an interview show with no panel or one main guest with a story and questions. Questions don't equal convo. Well, Dr. Clark, you know that the questions really are bullet points for the conversation. That's what they are. They're just markers so that myself and the guest can have a dialogue. Just like with office hours, everything is about video production. But in talking about the tools, the software, the hardware, the important things, there is an exchange, there is an experience, there is all of this interaction that promotes community. And I'm not locked into any one particular method. And as you well know, we did, in fact, start out as a mini office hours, but we have sort of mushroomed into this platform that we're in. And we're, as I've already said, that we're going to be changing now from 90 minutes to 60 minutes. And we're going to be making adjustments to the beginning of the conversation and the end of the conversation. And it's not going to stop there. And so we're going to continue to do what we think is the best solution for having this opportunity to have real, authentic conversations with people. And so, yeah, and I think that's going to continue. So, looks like we only have about 6 minutes left. So I'm going to try to get through the next few questions. Dr. Idelson from Monterey, what is your first aha moment you remember from office hours? My first aha moment from office hours. Wow, there were so many. As I think about that, I can't help but go to Mike Andrews. And the reason why I go to Mike Andrews, I think, I'm going to say that there are two. The first one is Mike Andrews. Mike Andrews, I came into office hours as a person who was in treatment for cancer. And I had an old broken down 2012 MacBook Pro. My wife was in the kitchen doing her work because the pandemic had started. And so I was in the bedroom. I was using the MacBook Pro. Sunlight was coming in. I didn't have a microphone. I was horrible. Everything was awful. And it was the early days of office hours. And Mike Andrews, amongst the community, was extremely welcoming and receptive to me with this bad audio, bad video. But Mike Andrews would call me almost a couple of times a week, if one of the things I was doing was I felt like I was a weak link, and I'm just being honest. I'm being transparent. I felt like I was a weak link, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm being transparent. The first thing is that I was, as you can all see, a Black man, and a Black man coming into an experience with all of these professional video professionals looking good and sounding good, and here I was with bad camera, bad video. And even though the community was welcoming, I just felt like I was a bad link, a weak link in that. And I said to Mike Andrews, well, the other thing I was doing was constantly apologizing for the way I looked. Because when you look at everybody looking so good and you look like you look, it's problematic. And so I was doing all of this apologizing. And Mike Andrews said, "Stop apologizing. Stop it. You bring something to it. You may not have a best camera or the best mic, but you bring something to our conversation. And Tony, we need you to be there. We need you to be present." So I'm going to say, Dr. Idelson, that was one of the first aha moment. The second aha moment was the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi. And so I was struggling. We had this session on Saturday. Everybody had their Raspberry Pis, and people were getting it done and doing great with their Raspberry Pi. And Jonas was doing the instruction, and everything was going great. And here I was bringing up the rear. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, that said, "There will be no one left behind in the Raspberry Pi." And so there were so many different people that were encouraging, uplifting, and encouraging me and pulling me along with the Raspberry Pi. And that's when I think my friend and producer, Clark Lopez Waterman, and I first connected on that Raspberry Pi experience. That was something that was powerful. And I think that I know how powerful it was for me, but I think that what it made me recognize it being even more powerful for the community is that Alex talked about it on MacBreak Weekly. And there was so much conversation about the way in which we engaged with one another and supported each other. And that was when if you will, the office hours church just exploded. And I think that that was certainly one of the best aha moments. Mike Andrews' encouragement for me to continue to participate in office hours, and then the Raspberry Pi. And do we have any more questions? And we are at 30 minutes. And if we don't, I want to first, before I do that, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Idelson. Thank you, Dr. Clark. Thank you, Clyde Lopez Waterman. Thank you, Junior Grant. Thank you all for your questions. Thank you all so much. I just want to say that there are some great guests coming. And some of them I cannot mention at this time. So I'm just going to say, stay tuned. So that is show vernacular, but I'm going to say stay tuned. But this is a conversation. So the last thing that I want to say is, when you have time, please go back and look at the 50 plus episodes or 50 plus conversations. I think you will find something you like, and hopefully something that is helpful. And with that, we're going to do our traditional thanks. And I'm not going to say that this is going to be the last time that we do our traditional thanks, but let me share this. Conversation with Tony Mobley can now be heard on radio WDZUP, Delhi Township, Ohio, and in the TuneIn app anywhere in the nation through that radio station, W98Z. Thanks to Taylor Sunderhouse and the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for making that happen. Thank you all for our conversation today. Do the work, we do. Special thanks to Kimberly Mobley, Ron Mobley, Global Family and Friends, Alex Lindsay, Office Hour members, DVE Store, Liminal Entertainment Technologies, Byte Hive, Video360.com, ApproveForLoan.com, Cloud Bedrock LLC, Ken Jordan, Jonas Tattel, Aaron Husledge, Cherished Cheetah, David Brady, Marcus Lee Folk, Richard Lavery, Chris Fenwick, Manolo Lozano, Jeffrey Powers, Bo Cordell, Mickey McAchore, Asma Geiger, Doug Muller, Laura Thompson, Bryant Shan, Dennis Champion Walker, Roscoe Jones, George Butters, Joshua Minden, Daniel Maxwell, Taylor Sunderhouse, Adrian Allback, Michael Marv, Conversation with Tony Mobley, producer, Clyde Lopez Waterman. And next week, our featured guest next week is the CEO of Boinks Software, Mr. Oliver Bradenbach. And for those of you who are familiar, he is the CEO of the software that is Mimo Live. And he will be with us next week. Looking forward to that great conversation. And more to come. Stay tuned. We are having conversation with interesting people. And what did I say? Everybody's interesting if you listen. If you like, please like and subscribe to Conversation with Tony Mobley, and go to our website where you can see our conversations. And I want to say good night. Take care. See you all soon. Good night.